Hi all, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about identity shifting. If you're new here, my name is Jay and I talk about major life changes and life transition. I actually started to create a series that'll help you go from chaos to calm while dealing with these situations. And today we'll actually delve into the transformative journey of becoming a nobody and the healing power of reinvention. So why the need for reinvention? We often cling to a lot of our old identities due to safety and familiarity, but it's those same things that can hinder us. And what happens when these identities can no longer serve us? For me, one of the titles that I had was being a single mom. It gave me purpose, but it was also something that confined my sense of self to a title and to a person. And it's also important to heal and understand what these identities brought into our lives. I think it's important that we honor our identities before we decide to level up and become this newer versions of ourselves. So how do we do that? How do we honor the past so we're able to move into the future? Mourning our old self is essential. We often mourn a person, a relationship, or even an old job. We don't take the time to honor our old self, and then we wonder why we keep repeating these old patterns and habits that we have. It's so important to recognize what our old identities really brought to us. For me, my old title brought stability, purpose, and a lot of healing. But I also started recognizing that it was holding me back. I was very much stuck in victimhood and survival mode, and I started to recognize that I really wasn't allowing myself to be my own safe space and my own stability. And even though I had a daughter and I was able to provide for her and I was actually able to move up in corporate America, I was able to move up and hit certain life goals. But once I lost that identity, I realized that I had a breakdown because I never really had stability within myself. So the habit that kept repeating myself is the one of victimhood and abandonment. And that was something that I was carrying since my childhood. And because I never healed that, I never confronted that or processed that, then I kept repeating that. So you may want to ask yourself, what is a cycle that I keep repeating that I may not have healed? Yes, I'm able to achieve these goals thanks to these titles, but there's something, a pattern in my life that I keep repeating and that I may need to take a look at. And the way that I started to do that is to create a safe space so that I was able to mourn and process. And one of the ways was through journaling. And then I started to go to therapy. So I started to do those two things. The journal allowed me to start creating this safe space within myself. It was a place for me to go and to be able to lay out a lot of the things that I wasn't able to talk about, sometimes not even in therapy. I also love to dance. And that was another way of, it was a form of self-expression, or maybe what I felt when I didn't have the words. You also want to make sure that we don't get stuck there. You actually need to create a timeline for yourself, something that signals, hey, I'm healing, I'm able to look forward, I'm able to rely on myself. And we do that by taking action. That's when they talk about act as if. It's about finding structure and stability within yourself. And you do that by taking actions on things that may make you uncomfortable or that may even make you fearful. Our past selves often dictated our needs due to our upbringing or societal expectations, that we actually became too afraid to explore or even own our desires and our needs. Now it's so important to explore what is it that you really want. I mentioned in another video that I had a breakdown and identity loss after my daughter left for college, and that's because I didn't know who I was anymore. And what really helped me was explore what really lit me up. What was it that I desired? I actually got into photography, did that for a little bit, ended up getting paid here and there for it. I did Uber, I cleaned houses, I changed careers. All of those things taught me something about what I wanted. But first, what I needed to do is allow myself to become a nobody. Becoming a nobody is about embracing being no one and no thing, no title. Understanding that you are not a title, not the money you make, not the parent to, not the partner to, not even the way you physically look. All of that, in a sense, can be lost. And I know that's very hard to kind of have to confront, but I'd rather you confront it yourself and really learn to accept that rather than life forcing you to accept something that you can't handle or causes you to have a breakdown. Now, what does that mean? It's empowering to be defined by nothing, because then everything is possible. There's a favorite quote of mine that goes, when nothing is certain, everything is possible. When you are so down on the floor, there is nowhere to go but up. And there's this whole clean slate. And if you shift your perspective, if you're dealing with something now and you're dealing with a very large loss, that may signal that it's time for you to change, it's time for you to move, it's time for you to take action, then this is the perfect time for you to become a nobody and a no one to anyone else but yourself. And you don't really start doing that until you own and realize that you don't really know yourself. And one way to do that is to realize what you don't want anymore. Because you may not know what you want. That is often difficult. And so you revert back to what you know and what you used to want, or who you used to be. But in order to start taking that action, that's a big part of it, is knowing what you don't want anymore. It's sitting down in that journal and starting to write, this is what I don't want anymore. So think back, what did I want in my childhood? What is it that lit me up? Or even now, it could be as far as a year from now, something that you wanted to try and you thought it was impossible to do. You can start taking action on things without the need of getting paid. Many times we don't take action because we think something's not going to make us money. But in the beginning, that's not what it's about. You're just exploring, you're just taking action. You're giving yourself a sense of movement, something to move towards to. So I want you to take this cup with you. This cup is going to fill you up. And what I mean by that is C.U.P. I want you to have compassion with yourself while you're doing this. I want you to have understanding of everything you're going through. And most of all, I want you to have patience. You know, in this popcorn society, as they say, everyone wants to heal like this. They think the healing process, you know, there's this thing about three weeks, 12 weeks, changing your life in 1 month. Maybe outwardly that might appear, but internal healing and real internal change takes time. And that's why I say, you know, fill your cup. Every time you sense there's a sense of urgency, every time you're judging yourself, every time you're feeling like no one understands you, you have to fill your own tank. You have to become that cup for yourself. It's about awareness and intentionality. Intentional awareness is key. You know, I had so much comfort in victimhood, and that can hinder your growth. We must cultivate that self-worth. And it was important for me to take action beyond survival mode. When I went through my breakdown and had identity loss, yes, I started journaling. I saw a therapist. I went to the dance classes, but I also bought a camera. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything expensive. I just bought a camera and started taking pictures, and that started to flourish. After I had my injury and I was bedridden, it was extremely difficult not to have the physical capacity to write and journal. I was in so much pain. It was so difficult not to be able to dance out my emotions. So what I started doing is started watching videos where there was dancers doing different moves, and I would play them over and over and over, and that's the way I would channel myself into dancing. I remember closing my eyes, putting my earbuds and closing my eyes and seeing myself dance over and over. And I had to continuously repeat that even when I physically couldn't do things, because I had to show myself that I was worthy of it and that this was actually gonna happen even if I only saw it in my mind. After becoming unhoused, because due to my injury, I started to visualize this. Right here, what you see behind me, I used to visualize having my own apartment, decorating, what it would look like. I started to save things on Pinterest. And when I had to live with a family and had to live with roommates, I would visualize living with myself over and over and over. That didn't happen overnight. It took about almost close to 2 years for me to fully heal from my injury and to get to live on my own. Identity breakdowns are such a big opportunity. It may not seem like that or feel like that when you're in it, but I promise you that after it, you're going to be so grateful because you're going to be allowed to live the life that you desired and wanted, but you were too afraid to go for. I want you to reflect on who you are now and why you're holding on to it. Who is it that you actually want to be and what's stopping you? You know, I want us to honor our past, but also move forward with faith. Can you embrace becoming a nobody? Or are you still so concerned about what others are gonna think? I don't want you to, and the reason I started these videos is because I don't want you to have a breakdown, deal with depression, being unhoused. And it may not be that deep, but you don't want to live a life that is not fulfilling and full of passion. So if you're watching this and this is resonating, then take this as your sign that it's time to start now. One of the big things that prevented me to really start creating these videos and owning what I really wanted to do is that I felt that I just wasn't being grateful, that I wasn't being grateful for what I was already given. Why was I continuing? When I got a job, like, why do I want to do this content creation? And when I was journaling, something came to me because I was really struggling with that. I was feeling guilty for wanting more. And what I wrote down was, God doesn't need you to be grateful. He just needs you to show your gratitude by continuing to go for your goals and your desires. That's how we show our gratitude. The universe, life, your higher self, whatever you believe in, wants you to show your gratitude by continuing to pursue your dreams. You know, as a mom, I understand that it is difficult. So I want you to give yourself at least 1 hour a day to do so. And I know that there's people out there thinking 1 hour a day, I barely have like 5 minutes to myself. And as a mom, I understand that. I understand that life gets busy. I understand that we may not have a lot of time, but time is gonna move regardless, and everybody has 24 hours. And if you have to do things in increments so that you're able to sit with yourself, even if it's during your lunch hour, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, you're worth it. If not, I don't want life to give you something chaotic so that you start paying attention. So start committing to yourself at least 5 minutes throughout the day to check in with yourself, to process and to really break down your desires and to find one way that you can really start taking action towards that. Even if it's just a visualization, 5 minutes a day. It will literally change your life. I'm gonna leave you with these journal questions so that you can start taking action today. If all of your titles were stripped away, who would you really be? Can you stand on your own? What is it that you really want in life? And if you feel inclined or safe enough to do so, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.